I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'm not even supposed to be here today! Oh, fuck you!
Come on, you want me to drive? You're supposed to be suicidal. Remember, I'll
Anybody
drive.
a drive?
Get in the car.
Fuck me in the ass. Fuck you, you fucking stupid cunt.
What was supposed to be your send-off was not a good send-off. A disappointing send-off. Yet another Marvel character getting a disappointing send-off. But where did I put the... Oh, right, they're down here. Alright, guys. But it's Don G. Corleone here, and I guess I'm here with a new movie review. And this review is going to be for the third installment of this whole series, Venom: The Last Dance. Directed by I don't know who. Never heard of this person before. What is the plot of Venom: The Last Dance? Well, ever since the events of this movie, Venom and Eddie were on the run. They were supposed to go fight Spider-Man. We were promised that maybe they'd finally be fighting Spider-Man by the post-credit scene of this. But guess what? The post-credit scene in No Way Home? Nah, fuck that. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually send them all back to their universe in the post-credits. So much for all that hype for nothing. Pretty much. We even get a reshot version of that scene to start off this movie. But anyway... yeah, they're both back in this, and this is the last one of the trilogy. Probably not, though, because knowing Holly Weird and Sonyverse will start to fail, and they'll realize this guy was kind of the only thing that was making them any close enough profit, so they'll have to bring back Venom. Eddie and Venom are on the run. They're hunted by both their worlds now, with the net closing in. That they're now pretty much forced into this devastating decision that's going to bring the curtains down on their last dance. So, how was this made? Well, around the time, like, when the first film was being made, star Tom Hardy had stated in August 2018, 2 months before the first one came out, he had signed on to star in 3 Venom films. Then around September 2021, Tom Hardy noted the producers were about to continue to develop Sony's Spider-Man universe in future films, but they're also interested in crossing over the MCU. Yeah, well, sure they are. Venom Let There Be Carnage director, like, Andy Serkis, he had expressed interest in returning to direct the next film and felt there'd be more to explore Venom in future films before the character could meet Spider-Man in a future crossover film. Can't we just have that already? Like, seriously. And further exploration of, like, the whole Institute and other potential villains being held there. That's not been working out well at all. Yeah, so Venom made a cameo, Venom had made a cameo appearance. Yeah, like, he had made a cameo appearance that, like, he got accidentally randomly transported to MCU, like, we all know from the events of No Way Home, and we saw that broadcast of Parker being framed by Mysterio, and Venom said, "He looks tasty." And that had me excited, like, maybe I was wondering, wow, they're gonna finally go fight Spider-Man, I can't wait for this, like, maybe this Venom was gonna appear in No Way Home, and maybe fans would finally get that. Guess what? Venom comes back in No Way Home. Not that way, though. No. It was the post-credit scene where they were finding out events at a bar, and then they got transported back to their universe, but a bit of symbiote got left behind, because they'll probably get an MCU Venom from someone else. Probably a much lamer one. No, this one's not lame, guys. This one at least sounds more accurate to Venom. I mean, like, people want to say this Venom's cringy. I can, boy, just imagine what Disney would probably do to the character. They'd probably do worse stuff compared to anything in this. But, yeah. But that's, so yeah, we didn't get that Spider-Man thing at all. Just a lame post-credit scene. But Sony confirmed this third film was in development in April 2022. Yeah, and so, right there, and obviously it would be about them on the run. And of course, the actor strike happened, so it got kind of almost delayed for a little bit before returning to its October 2024 release. And the filming began on June 26, 2023 in Spain and the regional park. It was under the working title Orwell. Right there, and so originally, originally it was going to be released July 12, 2024. Right there, but then of course, like, the actor strike had happened, and then the actor strike ended in November 2023, and then Sony delayed the film to release on November 8, 2024, and so it fell November 2024 date, right there, and so after they finally finished filming, though, they randomly put it back in the October 2024 release, much like these two were released in October as well. But anyway, after Venom: The Last Dance was shot and marketed, it premiered at the Regal Times Square Theater in New York City on October 21st, 2024, and at the time this was recorded, and by the time I had actually saw this movie, was released in the United States on October 25th, 2024. But that's what, I actually just saw this on the day after October 2026, and this was being recorded then. Much like the first two films, this film got mixed reviews from critics. They still praised Tom Hardy's performances, praised some of the action sequences and the visual effects, but they criticized the screenplay. Now, as for my reaction, I did enjoy this first one. I do, and now I don't overly love it. I don't think it's one of Marvel's greatest films, but I think it's just a fun watch. It's a nice little throwback to those 2000s Marvel films. And well, now when it comes to this, you all know when I first saw this and first reviewed it when that movie came out. Wasn't the biggest fan of it the first time. But then grew to love it the second time I watched it. It's much better at the second time, but I still like the first film better because the first film had humor, but I felt like it was much more better balanced when it needed to be serious when it needed to be. It was funny when it needed to be. This one, though, I just felt like they ramped up the humor way too much. A lot of times. Like, yeah, Woody Harrelson was still great as Carnage, but they kept But, like, this should have still been rated R. Like, they could have learned from the criticisms of the first one. Like, they could have made that one rated R. But they chose not to, especially because Carnage is a violent character. He's not a PG-13 guy. Right there. So that was kind of disappointing. That they still made a PG-13 just to still make money. Yeah. And also, the second one was way too short. As well. Like, 97 minutes. Only 97 minutes. Sadly, though, with this one, I was hoping this one would at least be rated R. Even this ain't. This was still PG-13 too. Was really hoping they would have finally went with an R to send it off. If this is going to be the last one they were doing. Anyways, now, okay, on to this movie. This still did look kind of enjoyable. It was a nice way to close. It seemed like maybe this would be a nice way to close it off, especially because it's the last one. So I went and I just got back from seeing it. Literally this Saturday, opening weekend. How was this movie? Guess what? For someone who liked this, grew to not mind this, this one was probably the worst of the trilogy. Like, yeah, that's why the title of this video, Venom: The Last Dance, is a massive letdown. That's why the video is called that for the title. Like, really thought this one would have maybe, I was hoping this one would nail the landing. Like, maybe this would finally shake off the criticisms of the first two. No. In fact, honestly, it kind of worsens a lot of them. And honestly, yeah, this is proof that, honestly, Sony just, I really thought this would have, made up for Morbius and Madame Web. I was wrong. And honestly, the sonyverse does need to shut down at this rate. And like, hell, you know what? This already made less money than the first 2 opening nights, so I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a bomb at this rate. Because, like, for one, yeah, it's a 3rd Venom movie, but look at the reviews for the first 2. Look at the scores for the first 2, guys. Did people think this was gonna make as much money as those films? Especially after they got met with a massive disappointing news with No Way Home's post credits. Yeah, because instead of getting the one that fans were hoping to finally see, No Way Home fucks that up. It says, no, you're not getting... No, you guys can't have that. You're not getting that Spider-Man fight. No. We don't want to do that because we're too greedy. And because we suck. Yeah, Avi Arad sucks. Avi Arad is a fucking idiot. Yeah, but whatever, guys. Like, this was the last Sonyverse movie I was watching, so whatever happens to this verse after this, I don't care. I'm done. Like, Morbius sucked. Madame Web fucking sucked. Was this as bad as those movies? No. Definitely not. This is better than those films. It's a minor improvement over those films. I think Morbius and Madame Web are worse. This, though, was definitely the worst Venom film. It's like the makers just wanted to make every poor decision possible when it came to, like, the soundtracks and music. Like, yeah, but especially this remix of ABBA's Dancing Queen I'm going to get to later. It's, like, lowers the intensity of Rye. Like, this is mostly the final chapter. Shouldn't you have, like, higher stakes and be darker if they're going to be the finale? Not overly depressing, but have a much darker tone. They really don't. Right there. Let's just let this remain bland throughout, even the climax and the falling action. Right there. Like, the action sequences are not that great. Like, compared to some of the action I had fun with in this one. Right here. Especially, like, during the scenes in the building, or the final fight with Venom and Riot, or even She-Venom, when She-Venom and Anne, like, combined rescue Eddie. Right there. And you get that epic, "Hi, Eddie." And... yeah, or even like the ending where he bites off the thug's head at Miss Chen's shop. You know what? Like, this one didn't really have a lot of action either, but what I did like was the fight in the church with him and Carnage. And Carnage says that, and Cletus in Carnage's form says, "Let there be carnage." Like the church fight was awesome. The fights weren't that memorable in this. Really. Like, nothing really goes on in this film. Most of the bickering with Venom and Eddie, it's lowered. Like, the bromance gets dwindled down. Yeah. It's like they really just stopped caring at this rate. It's like, thinking, like, maybe we could be fine with no Venom. We can do other characters. Look how that's turned out. Morbius. That couldn't keep a fucking release date all the way to 2022, and it released, and nobody liked it, and it bombed. And the only reason it got re-released is because of those cringy-ass fucking memes. Then he had Madame Web earlier this year. Less people like that. No one did. In fact, hell, that's probably just about nearly a lot of people's most hated films of this year's list. It is on pretty much all of the fucking worst lists this year. All of them. This was just a disappointing film. I would watch this over those 2 movies any day, but I didn't think it was good. Right there, especially for a conclusion. Like, we promised some nice action sequences in the trailer. Right there, and the action sequences we got, they just weren't memorable. All you got was really just a fight in Area 51, a fight in a waterfall, Venom going to Las Vegas, dancing the Dancing Queen with Miss Chen in a cringy remix of Dancing Queen, and him just traveling with these roadies, with a family of roadies, and refusing to eat vegetables. That's what you got. Now, how does this movie start off? So, we get a reshot scene of the post-credit scene for No Way Home to start off the film, and Eddie and Venom are drunk in the bar. They're still on the run because of, like, the events of Let There Be Carnage. And apparently, guess what? Maybe Patrick Mulligan was going to be the antagonist of the third one, when he got given that symbiote during the final finale of Let There Be Carnage. Guess what? At first, it seems like he died. He was found dead on a church, impaled on a church pole. So much for that. Like, maybe he'd be the one hunting them down. So much for that now. And that makes international headlines, and Eddie's named a prime suspect. And so, oh no, we can't go back to San Francisco. We could go to New York City. We could blackmail them and clear my name. Like, that's the first bit. The first fight you get is they find these, like, fight dogs that they try to set free. These thugs come into the place, and then you get the bit in the trailer where they keep fucking up the weird Venom line multiple times, which was kind of a bit of a worried flag right there. When I first saw the trailer and I first reacted to it, like, Venom 3 just bores you in, like, the first hour with the dead humor that they stopped trying at this rate. The flat screenplay, hell, the humor in this was actually funny. The humor in this, okay, that's a little silly, but some bits are, guess, kind of funny. This was not funny. Right there. It's like they just keep relying on that. The things just go on for no reason. Whether it's, like, having to go with the family of roadies to Las Vegas, or Miss Chen's, like, one fucking scene. Yeah, like, Miss Chen is in this for, like, one bit. Then after, like, Venom and Eddie get captured by Area 51 people, she's gone for the rest of the fucking film. And the moment, like, Venom dances with Chen, or knowing that he's going to be caught by the monster, it sees the shift in the narrative, then again up in the climax, the grand finale, a bit goodbye to the Venom trilogy. Like, what should have been the most explosive film in the trilogy, like, or what should have been the most explosive film Venom has been in. The script's too basic, like, so it can still be overlooked because it hardly matters, like, when it comes to this adaptation of the character, and Venom suffers from this really bad screenplay, like most of the first half, there's, like, barely any action. All this is Venom and Eddie just wandering around the desert, trying to evade things, like, not really having much of a fight, except for some Area 51 soldiers at a waterfall, and then, like, and then fighting some thugs. And then the other action scene you get is literally a finale at Area 51 base. The one time they try to make a good action sequence is the very last bit. So yeah, like, from the very start, like, it's obvious this film's going to offer nothing new in terms of the entertainment we already saw in the first two movies that were better than this. Like, as soon as this movie starts with just Eddie sitting in the bar in Mexico at a reshot bit, reshot from the post-credit scene of No Way Home. They couldn't even try to just reuse the scene they did instead. Yeah, like, we do get a bit of a recap of the MCU. They learn about some large purple alien that's obviously Thanos, because they're start off in the MCU area that caused everybody to disappear. And Eddie Venom, like, that's a long time. And then, of course, they get sent back to their world. And one thing I can't agree with Venom on, I'm sick of the multiverse shit. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you know what, dude? Venom, I agree with you on that one. Even I'm too sick of that shit. So we both agree on something. We're both sick of multiverse. Fuck multiverse. They still have this continuous relationship with each other, which the film plays mostly for laughs. Like, there's, like, one time I chuckled for their bickering in this one. Like this one, the bickering was still kind of funny. This one, their bickering was definitely funny. And the pair has to set aside their differences when they see that Eddie's wanted, and sets the stage for a road trip movie with the two. The duo are trying to go to New York. They can't go back to San Francisco, but Eddie's low on cash, and so they have to hitch a ride. Instead by plane. And, like, it's a decent setup for a buddy comedy here that could have still been a comic film. When the film peaks, like, it just goes downhill from there on out. And well, yeah, what they don't know is, of course, like, the species of symbiotes are trying to track Eddie Venom along with the military. And you have this, like, random villain named Null who adds nothing to the plot at all, just there to give Andy Serkis a new role. And the events, like, obviously, they're catching the attention of Rex Strickland. Like, so when they decide to go to New York, Rex Strickland, who's Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, he's a soldier that oversees Imperium and this government operation that they're soon about to demolish Area 51 for the capture and study of other symbiotes that pretty much fell on Earth. And Mulligan it turns out Mulligan's not dead. He survived his encounter, but he got captured by Area 51 after he was left for dead by another symbiote, and they elude Strickland's soldiers. So instead of like having a much more interesting idea where Mulligan's the antagonist and pretty much hunting the pair down, he could have did that. No, like Artaganist is not really much of a symbiote character. They elude Strickland's soldiers, bonded with one of many contained symbiotes, and questioned by Imperium to learn about the symbiote's purpose on Earth before Strickland is ordered to bring Venom down. Yeah, like right there, like, the villain's backstory, maybe it's a fine backstory, but could have made that more center focus, and most of the characters that make an appearance in this movie, they're just weakly woven together. The plot doesn't really move forward with their roles, and they barely leave an impact on the movie. Right there, at all. So they barely get much, and that just largely remains uneventful too, and the makers are throwing some 3D effects at the audience's faces, and the only major action sequence you get is the very end of the movie. The humor, yeah, it's there. The bickering's there though, but it's still much kind of the same bickering we've already seen in these films. The same kind of bickering, like chemistry we already saw before. Like, because like the jokes are still base level childish, like there. At least they didn't even try to make this a little more serious because it's the last one, and it should be a bit more emotional as a whole because it's the last time we're going to see Venom. But no, we probably won't. This is not going to last time we'll see Venom unless the MCU probably makes a bland version of the character for their universe there. But it just ends up really hollow and narrative. It feels just half-baked with like just a chain of things just randomly happening all at once. Pointless side characters that don't do much to the plot, jokes being thrown at you just to see which land, Rise Defense and Chiwetel Ejiofor's characters. They're just played by anyone that feels purposely done because Avi Arad obviously knew that these two actors were in several Marvel projects. It's like Avi Arad just immediately recognized Chiwetel from Doctor Strange, being the villain Doctor Strange, and decided, hey, that guy's perfect for this character. Or he immediately recognized Rise Infants playing the Lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man, and recently reprised the role again in Spider-Man No Way Home, and so he decided, hey, you're perfect for this character. Yeah, just only casting these roles because they were in several Marvel projects. No other reason. The villain, he's just there to give Andy Serkis a role because he directed Let There Be Carnage, and he starred as Claw in Avengers Age of Ultron and Black Panther. Yeah, he's pretty much the villain, and yet he doesn't do jack shit. Right there. He's just teased for a bunch of future projects that nobody's going to go watch because of the reception of the past two Sonyverse films. So good luck getting people to watch any other projects he appears in. Right there. And honestly, any projects he's in, I could give a rat's ass about. So when Eddie and Venom decide to try to get back to New York, they try to hitch by plane, but the difference is they attach themselves onto the side of an airplane for New York. Then Eddie and Venom get attacked by the symbiote species that's tracking them, and they're forced to drop off the plane to a desert field. And so Eddie loses one of the shoes he got from his first fight. Yeah, he loses shoes throughout the film. And then Venom explains to Eddie once they're down that they're called xenophages, and they're unleashed to the universe by Null, the creator of the symbiote. They retrieve his codex forged like when a symbiote brings its host back to life, and that can free Null from the prison the symbiotes trapped him in long ago. And because Venom revived Eddie once before, he now carries the codex of the xenophage track to Earth. So they get ambushed by Strickland and his team. They barely escape from them and the xenophage. And Eddie then comes, and then once Venom and the soldier go over this waterfall, you get the waterfall bit. Like before that, you do get the bit with the horse, which I guess was kind of cool, but the problem is they already do a song that's been used in many movies now at this rate. Yeah, it's Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, which has already been used in too many movies before. How about try using a different song that hasn't been used before? Like, how about Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue, or Let's Go by the Ramones. Any of those would have been better. Like, don't reuse a song you've already used in multiple films at this rate. It's like, Don't Stop Me Now has been used to death. I just had to pick that song. I like that song, but that's been in too many films now. Give that song a break. Okay, it's a cool song, I get it, but it's been used to death a lot of times. Right? How about a different song, please? But yeah, the horse bit after that. No, Venom does not kill the horse. Don't worry. Then Eddie comes across this traveling hippie family in the woods. They're going to Area 51. They're going to pass by Las Vegas. It's like go see an alien. They do try offering these vegetables, and Venom doesn't want to eat them. Says hard pass and throws them to the side. And then when they get there, I'll answer that later. Then like on the road, like the whole family's like sitting there trying to get Eddie to join in, and even Venom's like joining in on the song. And there's this one sweet bit with Eddie and one of the kids of the family that says he's too scared to go to Area 51, and Eddie does kind of lie saying that aliens aren't real. They kind of calm the kid down. So I'm gonna admit that was a bit of a nice bit right there. That's one teeny little scene I did like. Then, of course, like, meanwhile, back at Area 51, Mulligan's new symbiote informs Strickland and his team of Null's true intentions and the role of the Codex, and they can only be destroyed if either Eddie or Venom dies. Like, now, that being said, despite not getting much to do, Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie Brock in this one, it's still a highlight of the film. It still captures the struggle and the chaotic partnership with Venom, despite the uninspired narrative. They're treating familiar ground without offering anything new or engaging. Like, the action sequences, they do look visually decent. The little action sequences that even happen in the film, but they lack the intensity and the creativity needed to elevate the film. The CGI in this one, except for the CGI on Venom, is horrible. And it's typical of many Marvel productions today to have shitty CGI. Like, and also, like, the fact that the movie even has false advertising, much of what you see in the trailer doesn't really appear much in the film. And the pacing, like, they still learned nothing from, like, instead of trying to make this 2 hours long, like, this is, like, 109 minutes. It's longer than Let There Be Carnage, but they don't try to still make this a bit long if you're the finale. I thought the point of finale was to be the longest, like 2 hours. Like, how about trying to make this movie 2 hours? Learn from your criticisms of the first two. Right there. If people thought the first two were too short, like, how about learn from those criticisms and make this one a bit longer? Flesh out Eddie and Venom a little more. Have some more action sequences. And still make it R-rated for once. No. They learned nothing new. They've learned nothing from the criticisms of the first two. Yeah. We spend some time with minor characters, and it takes, like, these are not characters I was interested in watching. I don't care for the hippie family. I don't care for the Area 51 soldiers at all. Like, I want to see mostly just, like, Eddie and Venom, like, encountering, like, trying to get back to, like, New York or something like that. And, like, it felt like just a lot of stuff was, like, cut out. Like, Sony was probably like, maybe some people might find these well developed, but we don't think that's well developed. Let's cut that out and just make a messy film, disappointing sequel instead. Like, once the film does finally pick up, it's like the finale when the symbiotes get released and the whole final fight I'm going to get to later happens. And then most of the symbiotes all die, like, by one monster. Right there. Yeah, I get it. Like, these are just supposed to be popcorn films that I knew that. Like, these two felt like fun popcorn films. I'll admit that. Well, this on second watch anyways, but the first one felt like a fun popcorn film. This one, some fans might find this a fun popcorn film. If you thought this was a fun popcorn film and enjoyed this one as much as the other two, I'm happy for you and I'm glad you did. Personally, I just thought it sucked. There. So, anyway, the hipster family, the roadies, they give Eddie and Venom a ride to Las Vegas. And then you get this bit where the security guard refuses to let them in because Eddie's not well dressed. Doesn't match the dress code, so Venom knocks him out. Eddie's mad at him for doing that, but then they find some guy pissing, and so they knock him out, steal his suit. Cops have already arrived, though, and pretty much Eddie says the guy that was pissing was the one who punched the guard, and so has them go arrest him instead. And then finds a new guard while the other guard is being tended to, and so they try to gamble for money, but Venom uses all their money, basically all the money they have to get home, and their attempts to gamble fail, but then Eddie and Venom then run into Miss Chen at a casino. And right there, it's nice to see Miss Chen again, but heads up, guys. This is the very one scene Miss Chen has in the movie. She never, after, we leave Las Vegas, she is never seen again. So her role ends up being pointless. There, and don't even fucking start on the damn bit where once they get to Chen's hotel room, and they both dance to this remix of ABBA's Dancing Queen, and my God, there was a scene in this film that I did not like. That's when Venom went to that damn rave club, because that was way too damn ridiculous, and yeah, they just repeated a moment like that here. Anytime Marvel does a dance scene, it doesn't end well. Morbius, this cringy shirtless, has sex, the villain dancing fucking shirtless and hissing at the camera. Yeah, that cringy bullshit. Yeah, this one cringy dance scene with our 3 bratty teenagers and Madame Web. Oh yeah, remember Bully Maguire in Spider-Man 3? Nobody liked that dance scene. So what's with Marvel needing to do dance scenes a lot of times? It just does, anytime you do a dance scene, it's always cringe. They just did that again here. But thankfully that immediately ends when Strickland's team arrives. They captures Venom and incapacitates Eddie. And so after that you don't see Miss Chen ever again. So she was just back for a pointless cameo. Then Eddie gets interrogated in Area 51, and then Venom manages to escape confinement and attracts Xenophage's attention to Codex as it attacks the base, and then Venom orders the release of the symbiotes confined in the lab. They bond with several hosts, like some of the Area 51 scientists, so they can fight off the Xenophage species. Then Eddie Strickland, the lead researcher, Teddy Payne, they run to Martin and his family because they're already arrived at Area 51, so they can see some aliens. Nolan, though, pinpoints the Codex's location and sends more Xenophages to attack Venom. Eddie then tries to lure the creatures away to save Martin and his family, who escape with the help of other symbiotes, and they realize that they have to separate from the host to destroy the Codex and save the universe. And then Venom sees that Eddie is injured and decides they're gonna keep coming for us if I stay with you. And so he pretty much, this is how Venom's screen time ends. He has to separate from his host to destroy the Codex and save the universe. And so Venom sacrifices himself, bids Eddie farewell, and merges with the Xenophages. And that leads him to acid tanks as this mortally wounded Strickland sets off his grenades to destroy them. And so Venom is dead. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. That's what fucking happens. Instead of instead of actually just staying together and just being anti-heroes, this Venom just dies. Clearly because Avi Arad must have wanted this, because maybe thinking other projects in the Sonyverse could probably get them popular again. Thinking that they don't need probably all mad that only Venom's is their only profitable work. Probably all angry about that and wanted to kill him off because probably just mad because nobody liked his other projects, so he decides to just kill Venom off. Granted, there's people that didn't even like the Venom movies either, but the Venom movies are the only things in the Sonyverse that have some fans. In the first place. Morbius and Madame Web have 0. And Kraven the Hunter, I don't give a fuck about that movie. They're making Kraven an activist. But it's going to be rated R. Doesn't matter. Not rated R always means good. Doesn't mean rated R is always a good thing. There's been several R-rated sequels that bombed. Expendables 4, AVP Requiem, Die Hard 5. Those were rated R, and they were worse than their PG-13 predecessors. But yeah, there's several scenes of military personnel trying to just explain the origins of the symbiotes, but it's done in like the most boring, tedious way imaginable. The dialogue scenes between these people, like the Area 51 scenes, are clunky and poorly written. It's hard to really imagine it's hard to really imagine the script was like well planned out before they decided to film what they had. Like, yeah, and then again, the actor strike fucked up a lot of this stuff. So that's probably another reason why this film didn't do so well, is because the actor strike kind of fucked it up. Like, this one, you think you would learn more about Venom and his race in the finale? You don't really learn anything else. Not much at all. Like, the climatic finale, yeah, that was the one exciting bit of the movie, but it's undercooked in execution. And it's mirrored from, like, mediocre CGI fistfight to another. And, like, our villain Null, who does fucking nothing but sit in a throne because we need a new Thanos for the sonyverse. Nothing about him is interesting enough to pay any attention to. We never really feel like he's much of a threat throughout the story, because all he does is sit in a chair because we need to copy Thanos. Like, yeah, when Eddie Venom to Las Vegas trying to win for the slots, and that alerts one of the xenophage fucker things, whatever they're called. Then the creature of Venom do battle. The fight's just over way too damn quick. And it gets broken up by military soldiers after you got the dancing queen scene. I wonder if this scene was supposed to be important to the story. It's like, but it was hard to really care about anything that was happening. Right there at all. Like, in terms of visuals, like, despite the horrible CGI, like, the one bit of good CGI is the CGI of Venom. Like, Venom himself looks great. I did like watching him use his powers to combine body with something organic, and I did like the scene with Venom fusing with a horse until they had to use a reused to death song for the scene. Right there, and everything else though was just not that interesting. I didn't care. I barely had much interest in some roadie family. I barely had much interest in these Area 51 people at all. Like, the action sequences, they're barely there. There's like 3 action scenes, and there's like nothing else. It's just Venom and Eddie wandering around the whole desert for like most of the hour. And the one epic fight you get is the last bit, the climax. So now we get to how this movie pretty much ends. So after Venom has just pathetically died, because A.V. Arad must have clearly decided to kill him off, Eddie then wakes up at a hospital, and a federal officer informs him, who was somehow there. We didn't see this guy watching the whole thing, but apparently he informs him, because you and Venom saved the world, Buddy's no longer with you. He does not belong in this world at all, and neither did any of his other species. But because you both saved the world, your criminal record is expunged. You could go back to your normal life. However, if you mention anything that happened, you're going to go to jail. So, yeah. That's going to be impossible to hide. Because, Anne Wing, Eddie's ex, yeah, where the fuck was she at during this whole time? They never mentioned much about her in this movie. Michelle Williams, the character, ain't mentioned much. And her new fiance, they know about Eddie's past with Venom. So it's just going to be fucking impossible for Eddie to hide any of. How is he going to hide any of this from anybody? Anne and her new fiance know about Venom. Miss Chen knows about Venom. Patrick Mulligan knows about Venom now. That's going to be a little hard for Eddie to hide from the public. So Eddie goes to New York City, and he reminisces the memories he had with Venom, getting some flashbacks of scenes from the first 2 movies, and he watches the Statue of Liberty right there. But yeah, Venom's another character who was just pathetically killed off. But Dr. Corleone, you didn't watch the post-credit scenes of the movies? No, I didn't, because I'm not watching any more Sonyverse bullshit, so I don't care. So there is 2 post-credit scenes that did happen. And yes, guys, I'm being honest when I say I did not stay for them. Because I'm done with the Sonyverse. So I don't care what gets teased. Apparently what does get teased is Nolan confirms that the Sonyverse is now in danger with Venom gone, so the universe can't be safe from him anymore. Well, I don't give a fuck anyway, so I don't care what happens to the Sonyverse at all. I hope honestly, I hope Nolan destroys the Sonyverse. Can that be the ending instead? And then another post-credit scene where this bartender is escaping Area 51, but his cockroach is fused to the Venom symbiote. So much for this being the finale. If more Venom symbiote got on a cockroach, so much for that. If they're just going to tease more sequels, but I didn't stay for those. Eddie, I guess, goes back to normal life, but Spider-Man is clearly not of existence in this universe. New York now has no heroes. San Francisco sure has no heroes, so who the fuck's gonna save them if Spider-Man doesn't damn exist in this universe? And I hate the idea of Venom dies at the end. I would rather this series ended with, oh yeah, record gets still cleared, but at least keep Venom alive so that if Spider-Man's not gonna be in any of these movies at all, at least have some hero protecting the city from more threats. Instead, and no, not like the stupid Madame Web game. And not stupid Morbius protecting the shit. That deserves to belong to these 2. Instead. Like, yeah. And it ruins any potential of him finding Spider-Man now. After that second one had such disappointing hype that maybe he'd be No Way Home, maybe even Spider-Man would have a fight scene, but that got retconned entirely, and basically middle fingered the people that were excited for that because A.B. Arwood was too much of a greedy man-child to give up any rights. Yeah, and so we're back here. Pretty much now, Venom can now be on the list of characters who get killed off and fucked over. Cornelius and Zyra from the Planet of the Apes movies. Chief Brody from Jaws, who dies in the shitty Jaws of Revenge. Ann Lewis in RoboCop 3, Ripley, Newt, and Hicks in Alien 3, Laurie Strode in Howling Resurrection, Captain Kirk in Star Trek Generations, John Connor from Turner Dark Fate, Dante from Clerks, King Batman and the Flash, Luke Deverell from Universal Soldier, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia from the Star Wars trilogy, Jane Foster in Thor, Wanda Maximoff, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. T'Challa because Chadwick Boseman died. They make his death the plot of Wakanda Forever to sell tickets. Maria Hill in Secret Invasion, Gamora, Loki, and Heimdall in Avengers Infinity War. Back to Barbossa in Pirates of the Caribbean 5, etc. The list goes on. And if this is supposed to be the last movie featuring this Venom, well, then it sucks because the movie sucks, to me anyways. And we have a villain named Null. It's going to be in more shitty Sonyverse films that I could give a fuck about. Like the post-credit scene is going to really be. Instead, when you do get Venom fighting Spider-Man, you'll just get a shitty new version of him. Probably one that's, like, if people think this Venom did cringy stuff, this one might probably do more cringier stuff. Now, look, I'm not saying the first film is a masterpiece. This I could watch as just a fun little turn-off brain flick. That's a nice throwback to 2000s Marvel films. Second one, don't really rewatch, really. I warmed up to it the second time, but didn't like the overabundance of the humor, and I hated the fucking rave scene. And then this movie, I definitely can agree with everybody. I can agree with the haters of the Venom films. This movie definitely sucks. But it has good qualities that prevents it from being nearly as bad as Morbius and Madame Web. Like, I do enjoy Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie in Venom. I do. I did like the finale at Area 51. That was the one time there's actually an action scene. And I like the design of Venom as well. And I like the scene with the horse. Other than those, this was honestly, this was a disappointment. Ironically, like, this year, remember when Deadpool 3 came out and I was not excited to see that and I thought that was going to suck? I surprisingly ended up loving that film. And I had fingers crossed that this film could actually be enjoyable. And I ended up not liking it. Ironic how the tables have turned. It's like this October we had to have a shitty Joker sequel, and I had to ended up not liking a Venom movie. So yeah, if you did not like 1 or 2, you're not going to like this either. If you did like 1 and 2, then well, I guess that's up for you to decide if you ended up liking this if you've seen it. So in the end, guys, yeah, definitely avoid Venom: The Last Dance if you didn't like the first 2, or even don't really watch this either if you're expecting an epic finale if you did like the first 2, because it's a disappointing way to end this trilogy regardless, because it does nothing very satisfying whatsoever. Anyways, that's it for my review of Venom: The Last Dance. If you're running hungry, Venom: The Last Dance, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, you're definitely not going to like this if you didn't like the other ones, or if you did, this may clearly come off as a very disappointing finale to this Venom, and with a villain being used for more shitty Sonyverse films that nobody will watch. And if you're running hungry, Venom: The Last Dance, I'm going to give Venom: The Last Dance a 5 out of 10. There we go, guys. That wraps up my review for Venom: The Disappointing Dance. Now, tell me in the comments down below if you're a fan of the first 2 movies, or just a fan of the first one, or one of the few who likes the first one, and you saw this movie, what you thought about it. Or if you didn't like the first 2 either, but did end up having the displeasure of seeing this movie, tell me in the comments down below. Until then, guys, I gotta end this review now. But thank you all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.